I'm fairly confident that 2025 will be my best year rail fanning ever in my entire life. With how much crazy stuff I caught this year and the fact the power on every railroad just gets worse and worse after each year, and this is the year I had my camcorder for the first time. And man, the assortment of catches I saw this year was staggering. And so, what would this year be without a top 10 list of the best catches? And trust me, I had to trim a lot out of this. This year was just too good, man. But with all that said, let's get into the catches. Coming in at number 10, we have pacing BNSF Fake Bonnet, number 783 on the CSX Garrett subdivision back in February. This was an amazing power set, and we got some pretty decent views of them as we were pacing. However, this is only my third time pacing, and I really hadn't perfected it yet. The shot was very shaky, at the blue hour, compressed, and the audio sucked. This is before I realized my external mic was a piece of crap and took it out and just used the camera's internal mic. And so there's barely any train audio, it's just wind. But overall, still a pretty decent catch, and it would be way higher if it wasn't for those shot failures. However, we did manage to snag a decent bit of audio of the train as it thundered past this random crossing. At number 9, we have the NS-23G with a Fresh C6M leading, the NNW Heritage Unit, 3-9s, and the Nickel Plate Heritage Unit. Quite an insane consist. I'm just sad it had to come in the middle of the night. The shot definitely wasn't the best, and I wish I had done the depot instead of the hospital spot, but overall, it was okay, and definitely worth going out in the freezing conditions for because of just how insane this lash-up was. In 8th place, we have a train that actually contrasted the first two. The power wasn't great, but it was absolutely saved by the shot. Being in the golden hour and the perfect pan made this shot just so nice. As you can probably tell, this was when I caught the Spirit of France unit NS-10,000, leading 29p in August. This train wasn't too special at the time, although I really did want to see this unit, but now it has much more sentimental value since NS-1000 was unvandalized and no longer wears the Spirit of France colors. One of my friends, Private Panzer, really wanted to see this unit, but it got into rail fanning too late and sadly it was repainted before he got the chance. So this shot is a tribute to him. Maybe another Spirit of France unit will be made in the future? Probably not. But overall, I'm very glad that I caught this thing when I did, before it was repainted and in such a good light. In 7th place was when me and my dad chased UP 1983 on the CSX Garrett subdivision. Just like the War Bonnet, the shot wasn't the greatest and the audio was terrible, but it was a foreign heritage unit. which is just so unbelievably rare, I had to chase it. And I was much more experienced with pacing at this point, and so I managed to get a much less shaky video, better shots, and even managed to chase it to several other locations, including Kingsford Heights and Alida, although I'm only going to show the Alida shot here because I think it was better. Either way, a foreign heritage unit on CSX rails just doesn't happen very often, as you can probably imagine, especially since this was a Union Pacific one, which, for now, is very rare to see in Indiana, so I'm extremely happy that I managed to snag so much footage of this thing, although I am sad that I didn't get very much horn footage because of how windy it was, but you win some, you lose some. If this unit had come when it was sunny and it hadn't been so windy and I'd gotten some good horn audio, this would have been way higher on the list, but I'm still overall happy with what I got. At number 6, we have when NS-1080 led its first train since being the D&H Heritage Unit, which very fortunately happened to come through my local area. I managed to catch it at the hospital spot with a pretty decent shot. This is an incredibly historic move for this unit, and I'm very glad I caught it, especially in a no-horn zone because the horn on this thing sucks. In 5th place, we have one of 2 catches in this list to come from July 31st, which was definitely my best time rail fanning on the regular Ennis-Chicago line this whole year. The first of the 2 insane catches, which actually came second, which you would have known about if you saw my video, was actually the target for that trip. NS-38 The Brick on the Geometry train, trailing behind a regular C6M. The Brick is insanely rare, as you can imagine, especially with geotrains not being very trackable because they don't have a defined route. It was insanely lucky that I managed to see this thing. Unfortunately, a normal C6M was in the lead, but the Brick literally cannot lead, so that's not really a point of complaint for me. The shot was very good composition-wise, although it was slightly backlit, which I am very mad about. Overall, it's a pretty decent shot, and considering that the Bricks are practically retired now in favor of the Inspection C6Ms, I'm very glad I managed to see this. Sadly, I never managed to get a shot of the dented Brick number 34, but you know, I'll take what I can get. And this wasn't even the best catch on this day, so I was still very happy. At number 4, we have the first of 2 catches to come from this year's Memorial Day Extravaganza / Bensonville trip. This one was actually in Bensonville, and just like the Brick, was actually the second of the 2 catches from this trip. As you can see, it was Sioux 4448 working the yard in Bensonville. I actually managed to get 2 different shots of this thing. One was it parked here at the Scott Street crossing. It sadly didn't move for a while, so I didn't get any moving shots of it, but I got this very awesome close-up of it in the decent lighting, before managing to make it back to Bensonville Yard, where we watched it switch for a while. Sadly, it was backlit and behind a KCS GEVO, but that was more of a bonus, I'm honest, because I just love Southern Belle so much. Here are some highlights from the switching, although not all of the footage. It also includes it passing the YN2 CSX 263. Kicking off the podium with the bronze medal, we have South Shore 805 and 2010 doubleheading the local elephant style. This was definitely my best catch on South Shore, and in my opinion, the only catch not on a Class 1 worthy of this list. The wave from the engineer, absolutely epic horn blast, zero South Shore paint consist, and just general awesomeness of short lines was really felt on this day. I think shot composition-wise and lighting, this is also my best catch of the whole year if you don't count power. Shot-wise, definitely peak. Power-wise, though, although very good, it does still get better. With the silver medal, we have the second train from July 31st, which, as I said before, came just before the brick. And holy moly! First of all, this is a CN consist. I don't see CN that often, so anytime I see them is already considered rare. And second, this is one of the best CN consists they could possibly make, at least at the time. The leader was a fresh SD70 IACC rebuild, which I absolutely love, especially with the fresh paint. And trailing second was GECX 2037, one of the insanely rare GECX Bluebirds. Since these aren't tracked on heritage units, it makes them almost impossible to see. And there's only, 2 left on CN that haven't been repainted or given back to GE. So the fact that this is still here is insane. And the fact that I just managed to see it randomly on the depot line is even more insane. And the fact that I managed to get an actually pretty decent shot of it, despite the fact that I had no idea it was coming, was even more insane. with that, we've reached number 1. Out of all the various insane catches last year, which one do you think was number 1? Well, I'll tell ya. Taking the top spot is the insane power I saw on the Kirk Yard pull-down job during Memorial Day extravaganza. Being the massive J fan that I am, 2 original J-Paint SD38s face-to-face working their guts out on the Kirk Yard trimmer, paired with an insanely rare CN SD40-2Q, was just too good to not get the top spot. And that completes the list. It was very fun looking back at the catches of what, as I said before, I'm fairly confident will be my best year rail fanning ever. But I do have to ask, do you think there were any shots or videos or engines that I got that you think are worthy of being on the list above these ones? Let me know in the comments. But I think personally for me, the Double J has to be the best catch of the year. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to catch those units while you can, especially the J ones, and I will see you in the next video.